All right, so we're going to get going, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make 3 different things. One is superhero greens with kale, maple syrup, and olive oil, as well as lemon juice, also lemon rind. And I'm going to show you how to get the rind off of the lemon using a cheese grater. And then we're going to see how to make PFC rolls, where we need some deli meat, some type of fat for the F. Sometimes people use avocados. Other people like to use cream cheese or just cheese in general. And the carbohydrate often could be like some type of vegetable. I have a few things that we can try today in the PFC roll. And then the third thing we're going to do is banana cookies. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start this. I wanted to show you. I know that in talking to a lot of students, a lot of you know how to use kale now. But I did want to point out that maybe some of you don't know that it's best to, when you're using kale, especially for a raw salad, if this kale was going to go in a stir fry, I would cut up the whole thing with the stem included. But since it's going to be in a raw salad, I want to destem the kale. And I bet several of you know how to do this already, but if you don't, you take the kale with, you pinch the bottom here and separate it, and then basically pull the stem out. So that's how we would prepare it with a raw salad. And we're starting right away now on the superhero greens. Another tip I would have for you is to save these stems and chop them up like you would broccoli in a stir fry, because you're paying for these and they have a lot of beneficial carbohydrates for gut bacteria. Okay, I'm just going to be doing, well, limited amount of kale here. So when we go to do our kale, it's really important to stack it. It's easier to cut. So I'm going to ribbon this kale. If you are preparing this for a group of people or even yourself, it's really important to wash your hands. We learned about consumer concerns this week and the different things we can cross-contaminate our foods with. So it's always a good idea to wash your hands before you start, especially if you're making it for other people. So what I did was I layered the kale and then I cut it in half. And now I'm going to put the 2 halves on each other, okay? And now I'm just going to cut small ribbons right here. When I'm working with students in class, it's really fun to go around and talk to students about how they're holding a knife when they're cutting. The best angle, and maybe I know there's another classmate, Sean, in this class that's really good at cooking, but it's always good to be at an angle where you don't twist your wrist. So I just kind of went through the kale like that. I'm going to go through one more time on top this way, just so it's smaller pieces, because it's horrible to pull out a big, huge piece when you're eating a kale salad. So I'm going to put the kale in the bowl. It'll be great if some of you are following along as we go. So kale's in a bowl. Now, I don't know if you noticed the way I was cutting things or holding a knife, and I just want to cover this too, because we haven't talked about it yet. I see a lot of students holding the knife like this with their finger on top. You think that you have more control when you're cutting, but that's not true. You should always hold the knife at like this. So with your whole hand around the knife, and then you have more control when you're cutting, less accidents. Okay, so that's the kale. We are going to go ahead and put lemon juice and lemon peel in the kale. Lemon peel has some really great antioxidants for your skin health. Limonene, I believe it's called. The kale has lots of fiber and other micronutrients that are important for health. So it's a really good item to add if you've not already figured it out. And I would say most people try a piece of kale on its own and it tastes like the toilet. That's why we have to add an acid and a sweetness and a little bit of oil to remove some of that sulfur flavor so you can eat it better. So this is a microplane right here. And not everybody has one of these. It really makes it easy to take a little bit of the peel off. There's intense lemon flavor in the peel. If you don't have a microplane, you could use a cheese grater and do the same thing. Just kind of hold it over. Well, I don't do it often with the cheese grater. And I don't know, you guys probably can't see this, but there's little pieces of lemon peel going into the salad. Okay. So that's the lemon peel. And then you'd want to cut cut the lemon in half. I could give specific quantities if you like, I might do that. But usually cooking is a little bit of an experiment. And so you might like more or less lemon acid flavor. So I'm going to take this lemon, and if I don't feel like I'm strong enough to squeeze it, normally I'd put my hand over it like this so the seeds don't fall out. There's nothing worse than getting a seed when you're eating the salad, especially if you didn't make it. And then you squeeze really hard and the juice will come out the sides without the seeds. But some people really like to just take a fork and grind it in there so you could see the juice coming out. And I've really softened it up. So now if I do want to squeeze, I can go ahead and squeeze in the lemon juice. Our family likes a lot of lemon juice. It tastes really fresh. Can make anything taste better. Okay. Then we're going to add a little bit of fat to it. I just have some basic olive oil here, cold pressed olive oil. I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil. You could use avocado oil. You could use coconut cream. You could use a variety of oils. And then the last thing we're going to add and oils, again, have some really nice fatty acids and fat soluble vitamins. The last thing we're going to add is maple syrup. And this is just for fun. There are some micronutrients in maple syrup, but it's just to make it taste a little bit more appealing to people, especially if you're going to be serving this to kids. Okay. So after you get that in there, and I just eyeballed how much I would add, you take your live hand and you go in, and again, your hands hopefully are clean, and you go in and you crunch it up. This is how we get vitamin L into our foods. Vitamin L is love. So if you are having a good time making food, honestly, it tastes better when the person making it is putting a little bit of love into it. All right, so that's our kale complete right there. And normally we would all be able to taste this and it would be great. This kale salad can be a foundation for an entire meal. So I would usually put like roasted chicken on top. You could add more olives. You could add cranberries and walnuts if you want to make it more festive. It will usually stay good in the fridge for about 4 days. And by now in class, you know that PFC stands for proteins, fats, and carbs. And this would be a nice little snack as you're headed out the door. If you don't have a lot of time, you could even pre-make these. And if we ever get back to classes again, you could bring them to class with you. Okay, so what we need is a slice of deli meat. Normally I would use turkey, but for some reason, all we have in the fridge today is pastrami. And you take your pieces of deli meat and you lay them out. So we have our protein here, and there are so many functions of protein. It really is important to get enough protein every day, either from animal or plant sources. Okay, so we have our pieces of meat, and that looks totally gross, like pastrami, that meat on the cutting board. That's okay. So in a roll-up, you could choose, this is the protein. Now I'm going to add the fat. Some people like cheese sticks, so you could just take a whole cheese stick and put it in there. I can't eat a cheese stick because I'm lactose intolerant. Some people prefer to have avocados. This is not incredibly ripe. That's okay. I should have probably put it in a paper bag to ripen it up for today's video, but I didn't. So I'm going to take the avocado and I'm going to insert the knife until I hit the pit. And then I'm going to circle around the pit. And what you see, oh, wow. What you normally see is the pit comes out, or the pit is whole. It's not whole, but I'm just going to take it out with the knife like that. And I'm going to take the avocado in my hand and I'm going to run the knife through it, creating thin slices. And I can feel the knife on the palm of my hand. I don't want to cut through it and cut myself, but that's a good way to get thin slices that are easy to put on your roll. Now I would take a little spoon. For you guys, I'm trying to take a little spoon to make it look nice, but I would probably just be lazy and squeeze it in there. Okay, so we have avocado. Another fat you could use is cream cheese. It's pretty pleasing, especially with pastrami. So I'm going to take, I just have this just regular cream cheese out of a box. I think it's actually organic cream cheese. When we think about hormones and different things that can travel in your food, it's really a good idea to get organic dairy because they are not allowed to treat the animals, when they're organic, they're not allowed to treat them with a lot of hormones and antibiotics and things like that. And that stuff always travels in the fat. So if you're going to get the full fat dairy, which is really healthy, you want to make sure to get that organic. Okay, so now we have 3 different kinds of fat, and we're going to do some different vegetables. You could take baby carrots and you could put them in whole if you don't have a lot of time. I prefer to take a baby carrot and julienne it. Just make small ribbons if you can. I think it's more enjoyable to eat. So I'm going to put some baby carrots in that one and in that one. And I'm going to do the same thing with the cucumber here. You could do slices, but you could also do the whole julienne thing. It's always important to make a flat surface when you're using a knife so things don't roll. It gets kind of dangerous. So with this, I'm going to cut 2 layers like that, and I'm going to flip it on its side that doesn't roll. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut small ribbons, as small as I can. Okay, there we go. All right, so now I can add little ribbons of cucumbers, and the cucumbers and the carrots, those are our carbohydrates for today. You could add, if you have leftover mashed potatoes from Thanksgiving or anything like that, you could add that too. One student told me that they like to add chips, crushed up chips in the middle. I mean, whatever gets you eating all of your PFCs. Another carbohydrate you could add is peppers. I like to cut peppers into small ribbons as well. And I always cut on the inside of the pepper compared to the outside. It's harder to get the knife to go in. Okay, so we have peppers. All right, and I put avocado on this one. Honestly, if you're doing this for yourself, it would be a lot quicker. So pastrami is not awesome. You just roll it the best you can. If I was going to pack these to eat in a little bit, I would take a piece of paper towel and wrap it like this, and then shove it in your little snack bag to eat. I don't know, in the car or when you're listening to a lecture in class. So then you can kind of roll them up. Hammer turkey. Also, I don't really do anything without hot sauce, so I would probably sprinkle on some hot sauce. Depending on the vegetables you're using, you might want some sea salt as well. Another thing you can do, and this is so not hard, is make pickled onions. It takes like 5 minutes to make these. You chop up red onions into slices and you kind of heat up some vinegar, water, and sugar and dump it in with red pepper flakes. And then this is just a really nice, pleasant flavor to add to something like this. All right, and our final thing, this is getting to be a little bit messy because I didn't finish rolling them, is the banana cookies. So I'm just going to take a banana. This is a really tricky recipe. And I know some of you said you can follow along with this, so I hope you're doing it. You just take a banana and you go ahead and make small slices in the banana. You can cut them straight down like this, or you can cut them at an angle to make larger slices. All right, so now we have the banana. And you could take a butter knife or a spoon. You could use peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter, whatever you have in your kitchen. And you go ahead and drizzle on the peanut butter. This is a nice carbohydrate, fat, protein. That's a better option than having a huge bagel with peanut butter if you really don't need the calories. Now, there are some of you that are athletes and you have to get a lot of calories in however you can, but this is fun. Like if you're like reaching for a donut or soda and you're trying to get away from that kind of food, this is a sweet treat that's a whole foods option. And then you go ahead and you can take this banana, like I'm trying to figure out how to, here you go, and pop it in your mouth. And I don't want to chew on camera, otherwise I do that. Okay, I think we can go ahead and say goodbye related to cooking class. And I'm going to stop recording and then we can decide who would like to stay and take the exam together as a group.